What's going on YouTube? My name is Insane Rock coming at you live today through the power of the internet. So, I just got finished watching the UDS finals. And I gotta say, as much as I hate Zoo, I hate Paleo even more. I just don't like the deck. To me, if you run more than 10 traps in your deck, you're a jackass. Like, let me play the game a little bit too. At least with Zoo, there are ways to play around it, and I know against Paleo you can side in Denko Sekka and blah 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 blah, but it's frustrating, you know? Especially if they go first, your Denko more than likely won't help if they have something like Solemn Warning, or if they run bottomless, they couldn't respond. Anyways, I digress, sorry. I'm just really happy that Paleo did not win more than anything. Like I said, I just really do not like the deck. So today I'm going to be going over my Monarch deck profile. This is the deck that I'm currently playing. For everyone that hates on Monarchs, I understand. It's literally the same reason I gave for hating Paleo. Let me play the game. I'm a hypocrite, I'll admit it. But at least with Monarchs, you can kind of out some of the things. You can MS to your Twin Twister Domain, you can Regeki against Vanity Speed, There's not a whole lot of negate this, negate that, keep protection against this. It's just stun stall. So, without further ado, let's dive right into the deck profile with the mandatory one copy of Aether the Heavenly Monk. I want Aether back so bad. You have no idea how badly I want Aether back. She is probably going to be gone for a long time. And, she deserves to be gone for a long time. But it's just, I miss her. I miss Full Power Monarch, 3 Aether, 3 Pantheon, and 3 Stormforth. It was the very first meta deck I ever played. Cut me a little slack. I'm a very budget player. I'm a college student from Oklahoma. I don't have a lot of money to just drop on Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. And so, whenever I basically found I could play a really good deck for $30 plus a little bit extra for some, at the time, pretty cheap cards like Vanity's Fiend and Majesty's Fiend, which had spiked a little bit due to the hype, I was really excited. So, sorry, Aether's Effect. You can tribute summon this card by tributing one tribute summoned monster. If this card is tribute summoned, you can send 2 Monarch spell traps from hand or deck with different names to the graveyard. If you do so, summon 1 monster with 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense, but return to the hand during the end phase. So this really lets you cycle through your deck, and it makes some really nice combos with things like Hurrahs to disrupt plays, especially with the secondary effect of basically being able to tribute summon during your opponent's turn. You can just banish 1 Monarch spell trap from the graveyard to tribute summon during your opponent's turn, and if you have Stormforth, you can tribute one of their monsters on top of that for further disruption. Next, I played 3 copies of Erebus, because non-target remove will just be able to spin a monster back to the deck. It was and is really good. That's the reason why Cosmos are kind of making a small resurgence, not really major, but it's happening, because things like Dark Destroyer and Forerunner cannot be targeted. And so, with Trident running around, targeting everything it destroys, Dark Destroyer and Forerunner are a lot more powerful, and Dark Eclipser as well, obviously, are a lot more powerful cards because they can then, be protected from that targeted destruction. And once again, you get to summon the 2 Monarch spell traps, and its secondary effect says that when it's in the graveyard during either player's main phase, you can discard 1 Monarch spell trap, target 1 monster in the graveyard with 2400 attack, 2400 or more attack, 1000 defense, add it back to the hand. So basically, you can have this in Aether in the graveyard, discard a Monarch spell trap, add it back to the hand, banish it, and normal summon Aether. So basically, you're summoning Aether from the graveyard by banishing 1 from the hand, if you have Aether and Erebus. And it makes for some pretty wacky combos. I know Monarchs aren't really known for their wacky, crazy combos. They're known for being degenerate and not fun. Next I play one copy of Pistalos, the Mega Monarch. Basically it's a Mind Crush that does damage, and you don't even just hit a random card or call a name, you get to look at their hand and hit a card. So I would tribute summon my best case scenario of this, I tribute summon Pistalos, get your hand, you have a monster in it, but more than likely I'm going to hit it and then burn you for 200 points times that monster's level. So if you're playing, say, Zoo, and I hit your Rapier, you're getting burned for 800, which is nice. I mean, it's not a whole lot, and it's not going to make probably a whole lot of difference in the long run, because if you are playing Monarchs, you're probably going to be able to either stun long enough to get a lot of monsters on board to finish them off, or you're just going to lose automatically because you bricked. And what's really nice about Pistalos is on top of that, if you tribute summon a fire monster, you get to burn an additional 1,000. So that really makes your 3 copies of Red Layer really important in that. Next I'm playing 3 copies of Vanity's Fiend. It's Monarchs, and come on, you gotta play Vanity's Fiend. So either player can special summon monsters. Plain and simple. The Vanity's Fiend is really, really powerful because it locks down basically every deck. I can't really think of a meta deck right now that does not special summon whatsoever. The closest thing to that, I really can't think of one. Monarch is probably the closest thing to a meta deck that doesn't special summon whatsoever. Next I play 2 copies of Majesty's Fiend, because if you take away Zoo's ability to activate their card effects, you are going to be doing so much better, because they can't Trident, they can't Whiptail, they can't Rapier, nothing. They can just sit there and lose. And that is just super, super powerful, especially when you consider the fact that Majesty's Fiend is searchable in the deck, and you can actually add it back to the hand with your Erebus if it dies. So basically you're playing an unlimited copy of Majesty's Fiend. I play the 2 just to make it more consistent where I can see it more often, but I do not want to play 3 because at 3 it really clogs and it's just unnecessary at that point. I considered bumping it down to 2 and playing, bumping it down to 1 to play Karaza 2, but I like the 2 Majesty's Fiend. And with that little sneak peek there, I only play 1 copy of Karaz because I only play 1 Aether, and honestly, I would rather just have the 1 Karaz as opposed to 2, because if you draw into it, it bricks too much. Effect states that when it's normal or special summoned, this and Delve the Dark Monarch being the only 2 that activate if it's special summoned as well. You can target up to 2 cards on the field, destroy those targets, and if you do, each player draws 1 or however many cards it controlled that was destroyed by this effect. So basically, if you do 1 and 1, both players draw 1. If you do 2 on your side of the field, you draw 2. If you do 2 on their side of the field, they draw 2. 3 copies of Red Layer, which I kind of teased out a little bit ago with Pistalos. So if this card is in your, if you control the monster, well, this card's in your hand, you can special summon it for free, which is really quite nice because it allows you to have a monster on board that you can then tribute. And it makes it a lot more consistent than just playing the Squires and the Vassals, because you're able to even have an extra 2,000 point body on board. If you draw this, Edia and a Monarch, you're basically able to have a 2,000 point body on board for free with a Monarch in the end phase, plus whatever else you drew, like Domain or Stormforth or March or something like that. That would make the board a little bit harder to break. On top of that, when it's normal or special summon, you can target 1 Super Quantum card in the graveyard and add it back to the hand, so you can actually just bounce back 2 red layers over and over and over if you play it, because you want to see this often as possible. Next I play 3 copies of Edia, the Heavenly Squire. Best card in the deck, hands down. It always sucked getting Veilered with Edia, because it would just end your turn right there, unless you brought it out with 1-for-1. If you normaled it, you were done. Your turn was absolutely over. So Edia's effect states that when this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon 1 monster with 800 attack and 1,000 defense from the deck to the field. that you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. In case you haven't noticed, there is no extra deck in this thing. If this is sent to the graveyard from anywhere, hand, field, or deck, you can target one of your banished Monarch spell traps, add it back to your hand, which you do quite frequently because of things like Panthecium and Prime Monarch. It allows you to recycle things like your one Panthecium or your one Stormforce, or even one of your domains if you really need to get one really quickly, which has happened to me before. Also, just a quick little thing here, there are no replays for this because people apparently cannot leave. I asked for things like Zoo or Infernoids, which is what I'm playing against mostly at things like locals or even regionals with this, and I get just things like they had like 2 or 3 different Noble Knight players, and it was just really frustrating to me. It just, I have the note there asking for meta only, and you can't do with all this rogue stuff. Anyways, so Eddie is the best card in the deck. The 1-for-1 target, search for Rhoda, which we'll get to in a minute. Next I play 2 copies of Eidos, the Underworld Squire. So this is normal or special summon. During your main phase this turn, you can tribute summon 1 monster in addition to your normal summon or set. You can banish this card from the graveyard, target 1 monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense from the graveyard, except for another Eidos. Special summon it in defense mode. So basically, standard play is normal Edia, special Eidos, get another tribute summon. During your next turn, banish your Eidos with special Edia to special another copy of Eidos, and just bounce around with 1 Edia and your 2 Eidos over and over and over again. Older builds that I had, I did play 3 Eidos and even up to 2 Mithra. But I just decided that clogs way too much, and I decided to play just the 2 Eidos and the 1, and of course my 1 copy of Mithra. This is really nice to see if you get Edia on 1-for-1 to special summon this to get another tribute summon anyways. Or it's also pretty nice to draw because you don't want to draw your Eidos, because this is just a hard summon. It really sucks to draw this. But if you draw your Mithra, it's not that big of a deal, because if it's in your hand, you can special summon it from your hand and give your opponent a Thunder Vassal, and if it's tributed for a tribute summon, you get 1 more tribute summon during your main phase this turn. So it's basically an Eidos after it's tributed, which is really nice, especially considering that you can summon it straight from the hand, basically for free. And if you have something like Stormforce in your hand, you can then tribute one of your opponent's monsters for a bigger Monarch. Next I play 2 copies of Max C, because I want this deck to go first as much as possible, but if I am going second, I want to try and see Max C. It's just a fantastic card this format. Discard it from your hand, draw 1 time every time your opponent special summons. Just absolutely phenomenal. On to my Wenas, I play 1 copy of 1-for-1, summon a monster from the hand to the graveyard. Special summon 1 level 1 monster from the hand or deck. If I draw Edia and 1-for-1, and I have any other monster, even if I don't, I'm going to discard a monster special Edia. If I can, I do not run normal summon that Edia, because if it gets Veilered, if anyone's still running Veiler, even side deck, that would just really suck. 1 copy for Geki, since Geki into hates board wipes. 1 copy of Rhoda to search out your Edia. 1 Panthecium, send 1 Monarch spell trap from hand to graveyard, draw 2, banish, reveal 3 Monarch spell traps from your deck. Your opponent chooses 1, you add that to your hand, shuffle this back to the deck. Basically, the standard play with this is reveal either 3 Tenacities, 3 Returns, or 3 Domains, or 3 Crimes even, and get what you want, no matter what. Just reveal 3 of just 1 card and get to your hand automatically. 1 copy of the Monarch Stormforce. Basically, this allows you to tribute summon your opponent's monsters instead of yours. 1 copy of March. This basically makes all of my tribute summon monsters untargetable and undestroyable by card effects. 3 Tenacity, reveal 1 monster from your hand with 2400 attack and defense, or 2800 attack and defense. Add 1 Monarch spell trap from the deck to the hand, except for Tenacity. You can only use 1 Tenacity per turn. 3 copies of Return. When you tribute summon a monster while you have no cards in the extra deck, you can add from deck to hand 1 monster with 2400 attack and defense. with a different name can tribute summon monster, or 1 monster, 2800 attack, and 1000 defense from deck to hand. And so basically it makes all of your big monsters except for your Vanity Scheme searchable. Next, I played 3 copies of Domain of the True Monarch. This is what makes the deck so good and so powerful. Because while you have no cards in your extra deck, and you are the only player that controls a tribute summon monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. Most decks now that are meta relevant play from the extra deck quite often. Things like Infernoid would be really the only exception to this, and even then they go into tier quite often if they're able to, but for the most part they stay in the main deck. But things like Zoo and Paleo, which is just sadly still really good, really just rely on the extra deck quite often to go into things like Opabinia and Toad, Cat Shark, and I even saw one guy, he was in the finals playing Gachi Gantasu, which I was actually pretty impressed with, to be honest. So its secondary effect states that if a tribute monster I control attacks an opponent's monster, my tribute summon monster gains 800 attack until damage calculation is over. And then once it also has a third effect that states that once per turn you can reduce the level of 1 monster with 2800 attack and 1000 defense in your hand by 2 until the end of this turn. That's not a hard once per turn. So it's just once per turn for this copy. So if I get out another copy of Domain, I can do that again. So I can basically turn a 8-star Erebus into a 4-star normal summon monster, which is really funny to do if you really break hard. Next I played 3 copies of Prime Monarch, which is the only trap that I played. I did play for a little bit, a very little bit, 1 copy of Escalation, which I thought was really good. You turn all your monsters into Aether effects, basically. And I've been trying to figure out a way that I can fit it back in the deck, but I just can't right now. So it has 2 effects. First, you can target 2 Monarch spell traps in the graveyard, shuffle them back into the deck, draw 1. You don't really use it for that as much. You kind of save 1 for it so you can recycle things back, but for the most part you use it for its secondary effect, which lets you banish a Monarch spell trap from the graveyard, to special summon it in defense mode as a monster, and is not treated as a trap card, so you can't MST or Twin Twister it. That's all for the main deck. I'm going to go over the side deck just really quickly because I think it's all up to personal preference for the most part. 1 copy of Zaborg if I have lost and I know for a fact I'm going first, no matter what. I'll usually side out my Max C's in that case, so that way I can have things like Zaborg and a 3rd Majesty's Fiend for Jinzo right here. Then I'm going to get up against Paleo. These are the guys that I side out Max C for, depending upon what I'm playing. Or I might even side out Artifact and Lancia if I know that for a fact I'm going second. I'll get rid of probably 1 Majesty's and maybe Thestalos, or Lancia if I'm going up against Infernoid, just to be able to stop a lot of their plays. 2 copies of Retaliating Seed. This is still such a fun card. Basically, your opponent activates Barrage, uses Barrage on itself to pop itself, you activate your Retaliating Sea and watch them cry. And if you've already started in Retaliating Sea, you more than likely still have your Max Seas and your Flying Seas in your deck, so you can search them out if they're able to kill this walking Macrocosmo. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, because just being able to pop that Dryden or pop the Barrage before it really gets the chance to activate is just really good. 3 copies of Change Disappearance, because banishing that stupid rat here is so good right now. That's pretty much all for the deck profile today, guys. I do have a couple more saved up, and as of right now I have a bunch of videos backed up for later on. That way, even if something happens, I will have videos coming out every Sunday for the next at least 8 weeks, and then I'm going to do a whole bunch more over summer as well, over my summer vacation, where I can make sure I can pump out videos on a consistent basis. And on top of all of that, a friend of mine who has been wanting to get involved with this for a while, who's actually one of the first people taught how to play the game, is going to be joining me on this channel pretty soon. When he gets his computer fixed up, he'll be making videos as well. So if he's able to pump out videos on a consistent basis, be expecting 2 videos per week. Mine will always be on Sunday. We'll work out when his is going to be coming out later on.